to be here. Some familiar faces from earlier today, and thank you to our amazing Turning Point USA chapter here at the University of Nevada, Reno. And to kick off our 2019 tour. It's just it's an honor to be here. So I'm from Illinois originally. The fun thing about being from Illinois is we have term limits in Illinois. It's a little different than most states, though. It's 1 term in office, 1 term in jail. So when we ask for our governor's cell number, we actually mean his cell number. So we come from quite an interesting place. Nevada's going through some, let's say, up and downs lately, and got a lot of Californians coming, just trying to change Nevada, it seems. But it is still, I would say, maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not a good thing. We'll talk about that tonight. So we'll talk about that tonight. I do want to say something, though. There's been a lot of discussion here on campus the last couple days, and I just think, I was walking around campus and seeing a lot of things I agree with, actually, today. And I want to make something very, very clear, that it's not already abundantly clear, that the evil, wicked ideology of white supremacy has no place in our organization. We repudiate it, we reject it wholeheartedly and completely, as should any decent American. And so, whenever I come in contact with any individual that possesses or holds that wicked ideology, I reject it and I repudiate it. And people have a right to be wrong. People can say things. That's what discussion is all about, free speech. And I hope we have some disagreement tonight. That's what it's all about. But there's certain ideas that shouldn't be allowed to be expressed, but boy, should they be peacefully counteracted. And today I was trying to take a sign with these. There was these signs out there. I took a picture with these signs that says, we need to challenge white supremacy. There was some other colorful language associated with that sign, if you know what I mean. And for whatever reason, the sign they tried to turn the sign away because they didn't want me to take a picture with their sign. And so it was kind of interesting. There was one sign I do remember, it said, "Unite against racism." I totally agree with that, 100%. But the whole idea about uniting would not be turning your sign away, right? Like, wouldn't that be like, wouldn't you have the most amount of people possible in front of the sign? So it'd be kind of like divide against racism or something, but I hope we can unite against that tonight, and then also say what we are for. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then we have a fun thing that we do at all these events, which is, if you disagree, you're allowed to go to the front of the question line, and you're allowed to, okay, well, I guess.
Immigrants are welcome here! Immigrants are welcome here! Immigrants are welcome here! Immigrants are welcome here!
Can we give it up for our amazing ICE law enforcement officers? Outburst, I guess. See now, instead, yes, he gets better seats. That's very smart. Very smart. And I hope they come back, and I hope they ask a question later. But since they brought up ICE, which just seems there's this whole anti-ICE movement out of nowhere. Where'd that come from? We can talk about that for a little bit. But ICE, they are modern day heroes. ICE is the #1 agency that goes after sex traffickers and child sex traffickers, that goes after drug cartels, that goes after gun runners. 30 seconds or less. That is the American left.
No, please. You know better.
Usually, but there is something about this rise of outbursts and the attack on freedom of speech. When liberals come and speak on campus, do you guys go interrupt and go do outbursts? No, it's strange how that works. So if anyone does have thoughtful disagreements, there will be a time and place for this. So I hope that does happen. Anyway, we'll talk about Medicare for all and socialism, which, by the way, is the #1 killer of human beings over the last 100 years, despite being tried on time. You have to notice that when people flee socialism, they don't go back. It's really strange that the caravan decides to go to America, not Venezuela. How does that work out? And do you ever notice that the people fleeing, they're going from Havana to Miami, but they're not going from Miami to Havana? Isn't that strange how that works? Or when East and West Germany existed, the guns were only pointed in one direction. Once people were in West Germany, they weren't too worried about them going back into East Germany. See, if you have to prevent someone from leaving your country, you probably don't have the best ideas behind your country. Things that we believe in, and if anyone wants to continually interrupt and do that, then I guess you have the freedom to be wrong in America, right? That's one of the things we're talking about. Constantly wrong, but never in doubt. That's the American left, I'll tell you. So the number one thing we believe at Turning Point USA is we believe that America is the greatest country ever to exist in the history. We believe there's something special about this place. We believe that America is the most generous country, which we are, the most benevolent country, the most productive country, the most accepting country, and the most diverse country. There are 2 million people that legally immigrate every single year worldwide. Half of them legally immigrate to the United States of America. We take in half of the world's immigrants every single year, despite us having 5% of the world's population. Americans voluntarily gave away over $550 billion to charity last year. When there's a tsunami, an earthquake, a flood, when people are in distress, they don't call the Belgians, and I love Belgium, okay? But they don't call the Belgians, they don't call the Swiss, they call the United States of America. There's something special about this place. There's a creed, there's a work ethic, there's a belief. And if I had to kind of put it all into one big thing, the belief in America is intergenerational stratification. Whoa, what does that mean? Those are a bunch of big words. The belief that if you work hard and play by the rules, your life and your kid's life and your grandkids' life will improve over time. That guarantee does not exist in most of the world. It does not exist in China. It does not exist in India. It does not exist in the entire continent. So why is that? Well, the ideas behind America, there's an American Trinity, just like there's a Christian Trinity. The American Trinity is first and foremost, it's on the presidential seal. It's the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, which means out of many one, which means we do not believe that one race is better than any other. We do not believe that one people is better than another, but out of many one, from the founding of this country, that was the phrase I was using. Guess what? We didn't always live up to our own ideals. But overcoming the sins of the past is a mark of a great nation. America has made mistakes, but America is not a mistake. Yeah. First thing you put do what you want to do, how you want to do it. What church you want to go to, what mosque you want to go to, what synagogue you want to do, whether or not you go to church. Where you send your kids to school, whether you homeschool your kids, whether you send them to public school or send them to private school, what you buy and how you buy it. Liberty. But liberty is very easy to talk about. However, what's tough is taking responsibility for your actions if things don't go according to plan. Within liberty.
Racists go home! Racists go home! Racists go home! Shut up, racists go home! Racists go home! Racists go home!
What are you talking about?
Racists go home! Racists go home!
Did you miss the evil of this human heart? Out of many one, no race is greater than the other. Literally in the speech. any relief, we have the University of Nevada Democrat Socialists or whatever. So thank you for alleviating that. Final part of the American Trinity. It's on all of our currency, and it's the phrase, "In God we trust," that our rights are natural upon birth, that rights do not come from government, that government instead is created by us the people and created by the states, the federal government, to protect those rights, not to give those rights away. The Constitution is the greatest political document ever written in the history of the world. The Constitution started with the Bill of Rights, which allows freedom of expression, the right to self-defense, to defend the other amendments, the right to privacy, the right that government cannot look into your stuff, your possessions, or your property without a warrant, the right to a fair and speedy trial. These things we take for granted when there are 1 billion people in China that do not have the very same stuff that we take for granted here. And I love the fact that these protesters are allowed to be wrong. I want them to keep that spirit and that energy. If they did that at a Chinese university, they would be put in prison. That's how you know you live in an exceptional country. The ability to tolerate other ideas than having to lock somebody up just because you disagree with them. That's what's so beautiful about the Constitution, is you know that there's individuals that will think differently about basically everything. And mind you, this experiment in freedom and this experiment in liberty had no guarantee that it was going to work. In fact, the reality that we're not at each other's throats all the time, considering that every country in the world is represented in America, that every race is represented, that every religion is represented, is a miracle. It is a miracle that we're all getting along basically really, really well. And there's exceptions, there's evil people. Those exist in every country. Cohesion does not exist in every single country. I'll give you a great example. The 2016 women's gymnastics team, that one gold. What does it mean to be an American? Well, for us as an American, it's a belief in ideas, and it's belief in intergenerational stratification. That women's gymnastics team had an African American, had a Hispanic American, had a Jewish American, had a Caucasian American. All of them were Americans. We applauded their success and their victory. The Chinese gymnastics team, which got silver, of which I was very pleased to see, all ethnically, homogeneously from China. Now, if anyone on the US team would have been on that Chinese team, the Chinese country would have said, they're not Chinese. Because what it means to be Chinese, what it means to be Russian, what it means to be Indian, is based on race. What it means to be America is not that. That is a mark of an exceptional country. That is a mark of a country that deserves to be honored. Big thing we believe, there's a lot of things, is that we believe that free enterprise is the most moral, proven, and effective economic system ever discovered. Now, what is free enterprise? Free enterprise is the ability to buy what you want to buy, sell what you want to sell, the ability to protect your own private property, the ability to transact with who you want to transact with, take risks, entrepreneurship. This has lifted more people out of poverty than we could have ever have imagined. Entrepreneurs, creating products that everyone here in this room has used multiple times. This is why the poverty rate...
No hate! No fear! No energy! Scream louder!
Please defend your position. Please come to the front of the line and defend your position. Thank you for coming tonight. Okay. Well, there's no expression. They are proving my point for me. So, see, now I have to. When people denounce racism, and your thing is about denouncing racism, it's okay to agree with them. It's okay to actually cheapens their cause, because it makes them look like fools. And it makes them look like, well, it's really not about racism, because we denounce that at every single turn and we repudiate it. But maybe it's about being a liberal. Maybe that's what it's about. Because for them, they actually don't want to see someone come up here and say everything that they want to say. They want me to say things like, oh, yeah, America's a horrible country. That's what they want me to say. I will never say that, because I will not say things that are not true. And they want me to say that socialism is the answer. Well, I'm not going to say that either, because that also is not true. It makes no sense. However, it is less about doing good and more about feeling good. Because if it was about doing good, they would link arms with Turning Point USA against evil, against supremacist type ideologies, and they would truly unite. Instead, that makes them feel good. It's called virtue signaling, folks. Look how good of a person I am. Hello, world! I'm a great person! And I'm going to tell the entire planet. Anyway, back to the free market. And I just love it, because the people that shout against the free market, they're probably in an Uber right now, they're not heading to Chick-fil-A, let's just be honest, right? But if they did go to Chick-fil-A, they would be warmly greeted with, how are you doing, greetings, and a thank you, it is my pleasure to serve you. Because Chick-fil-A, I think, is a wonderful experiment in the free market. However, they're probably on their way to Starbucks. I hate this free market thing. Let's tweet about it. Yeah, let's do a live stream. I hate free markets. Yeah, that's brought to you by capitalism and free markets. Thank you very much. Anyway, what's so amazing about free enterprise, and the only negative about free enterprise, is that we have created so much wealth so quickly that we take it so much for granted that people that know no different, that have not had to go weeks without eating like they do in Venezuela, that have not had to see their parents locked up for political prisoners like they did in Cuba, that have not had to wait in red lines like they did in the Soviet Union, that did not have to go through harsh civil war like they did in Cambodia. They've never had to do any of those sorts of things. So they believe that bringing that ideology, despite it being tried 100 times over the last 100 years, resulting in 100 million civilians killed, that we know of, but it makes them feel good, because socialism allegedly has never been tried. So those are the three things that we believe. We also believe this. We believe that when you encounter difficulty in your life, and everyone will encounter difficulty, that instead of looking to someone else to solve your problem, first and foremost, look at the mirror. That the individual improving their life, that people saying, you know what, maybe I could wake up earlier, maybe I can act better, maybe I need to stop looking to other people for blaming them for my problems, instead of saying, I'm going to look to government to solve my problem for free college or tuition forgiveness, all of which are horrible ideas. Instead of that, why don't I try to make myself a better human being? That's hard. Now mind you, our sales pitch is hard, because what they're talking about, that's easy. Boy, my sales pitch was like, hey, free stuff, what do you want? College? Done. Healthcare? Done. Open borders? Done. We're just going to take all the money from these people because they're bad people, and we're going to redistribute it. That's easy. You know what's a harder sales pitch? I got nothing to give you guys. I got ideas. I'm not going to give you checks. I'm not going to give you redistribution of somebody else's money, but I will cut your taxes and open up your freedom so that you have a higher likelihood to succeed. But you're going to have to work hard, play by the rules, and do it. Hard work does pay off. That is exactly right. To tell you why I believe what I believe. We want to get it up for some debate, dialogue, discussion, discourse, all of it, of which our couple dozen friends could have easily participated in, but instead they wanted to have their Instagram famous moment to try to interrupt it for all of you guys. And I appreciate those of you that might disagree and you're boiling and you wanted to say something. Thank you for respectfully listening through all this, and now let's have some fun. So how are we doing the questions here? I think we have some people with microphones. And we're going to start to line up right here. We have one line or two lines. One line right here. If you disagree, you're allowed to go to the front of the line. I'm going to go sit on my stool. Let's have some fun. Okay. Good evening. How are you? You got to speak in the microphone.
So I really like what you said about not looking to big government to solve your problems. And when you're facing difficulties, you should look in the mirror first. You state that your organization disavows white supremacy and white nationalism. I wholeheartedly agree. It's an evil ideology. It's wicked. there's a concerning history of your organization, and there have been many instances of known white supremacists, white nationalists, people who are objectively racist, meaning they believe in a hierarchy that places white people above others. These people have been found in your organization. You have disavowed them, most recently Ashley Sinclair.
She's not a white supremacist, but
If your organization claims they are not white nationalists and white supremacists, and you would like to look in the mirror, please tell me why you think it is that white nationalists and white supremacists feel welcome in your organization.
Can you name one? I've named.
Identity Europa
Can I ask you a
was
question?
found.
Can I ask you a question to you? Would a white supremacist organization host a black leadership summit?
Yes. You can see.
Would a white supremacist organization have a black female communications director?
Yes, there are ideological shields that further your talking points, and every much is committed to bigotry and white
Would a
supremacy.
white supremacist organization host the nation's largest young Latino leadership summit for 5 years
Yes.
straight?
Yes.
Can you name one instance when we have ever tolerated hatred once?
Have you ever tolerated hatred?
Yes.
You think that your organization is not white nationalist and not white supremacist, so why did Identity Europa think that your organization was prime breeding grounds for their youth?
Because they're idiots.
Because I do agree that you should look in the mirror first before asking people to solve your problems. Just tell me honestly, what do you think it is about your organization, without you being a white supremacist, without you being a white
So
nationalist?
you don't think I'm a white supremacist? Let's just get this straight.
No.
Okay, good.
I think you enable it.
Oh, I enable you.
Yes.
Despite every time I encounter anyone around that ideology, I repudiate it and I reject it.
I'm asking you
What
why
else would you
feel.
want me to do?
I'm asking you why you feel that what it is you think about your organization that might attract white supremacists and white nationalists, because you've repudiated a lot of members who were later revealed to have white
First of
nationalist
all,
ties.
it's not a lot of members. You're talking about 4 people in a membership organization with hundreds of thousands of students over 7.5-year history. You're looking at 4 isolated examples that the dishonest press decides to look at, despite the unbelievable body of work that Turning Point USA rejects anyone that has hatred. Turning Point USA has diverse leadership summits, such as a black leadership summit, and you kind of lost me after that one, by the way, that you could host a black leadership summit and also be white supremacist. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
You can be racist regardless of ethnicity, race, class, gender.
Guys, I'm gonna, so your question was for me to try to apply motivations upon people that I deem.
It's to look inward. It's to look inward at your organization and say, if you're not a white nationalist and not a white supremacist, why is it that actual white supremacists and actual, white nationalists feel they're welcome?
So why would David Duke endorse Tulsi Gabbard? I don't know, because he's nuts. I mean,
So you don't want to look inward? That's okay.
no, I mean, we've got plenty of inward looking.
That's okay. Thank you.
Would you like to ask a question? Would you like to ask a question? Please, come on. Please. Come on. Ask a question. Ask a question. Ask a question. Okay?
Okay, you stand up there and you talk.
I'm sitting.
That's what I'm talking about. You have this arrogance. Everyone in here is a person, and you laugh at them. You laugh at their questions. You laugh at their screaming.
Guys, please. So when somebody says, oh yeah, you can host a Black Leadership Summit and you're still white supremacist, that's comedy.
Looking in the mirror, but don't take you seriously because you view it as fucking comedy.
Can you name one racist thing I've ever said or done?
It's the way that you're acting.
There's an expression by a very smart guy. Facts don't care
That's
about
why it's funny.
Feelings aren't facts, but yet you use it as part of your comedy spiel.
What's one time I used feelings? When did I ask anyone to empathize with my struggle?
I guess you don't.
Logical thinking and rational objective analysis. Thank you for your time tonight. This is fun. Are we having fun? We're having some fun? Good.
I'm having fun.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello, guys. Let everyone
My girl right here.
I just want to tell you that I'm not happy that you are in this university speaking. My daughter went to school. She's a lawyer right now. I'm an immigrant, an American citizen, and I vote. And let me tell you what I don't like that you come here because I never, I came in 2005 to Reno, hear so much this disturbance in this university. I don't know who pays you, what is your purpose, I don't know your heart, I don't know you, I apologize, I don't know you, but your presence is stirring hate here, like the president we have in the United States stirs hated, and I'm not happy. It's my free speech, and I really thank you that you let me talk, because this is a country that you can speak. I'm in line, I'm in the microphone.
Shut up! Let her speak. Let her say
When I was outside, was one guy, he asked me if I was immigrant illegal, and no human being is illegal. So it's okay to have different points of view. I respect that. But what we need to respect is the dignity of human beings. This country is amazing, you're right about that, because it's found for immigrants. I'm one of those immigrants. And we have, you say a right in this country, like my daughter now, she's a lawyer and she's doing magnificent. My son is a transgender kid and he goes to high school and he plays football. That's why he's not here with me. So to me, you're not, I don't like you here, you're not welcome here. And I apologize that I don't like you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
What's one hateful thing I said tonight?
No. I say that.
No.
You haven't said nothing hateful with what you represent and the people.
What do I represent?
You